The chandeliers of the Carter Foundation Gala cast fractured light across marble floors polished to mirror perfection. Ethan Cole moved through the crowd with practiced detachment, his hand resting protectively on his daughter Jamie's shoulder. At 35, he'd mastered the art of appearing present while remaining emotionally absent. The conversations around him blurred into white noise. Corporate donors congratulating themselves on their generosity, society figures networking behind champagne flutes. Then he saw her. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. A waitress navigating through the crowd, her black uniform crisp and professional, carrying a tray of champagne with quiet efficiency. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Her profile struck him first, the curve of her cheek, the way she held herself with unconscious grace. But what shattered him completely was the glint of silver at her throat. A crescent moon necklace. His crescent moon necklace. The one he designed 15 years ago, custom-made with a compass rose engraving. The one he'd placed around Lily Hart's neck the night before she died. The one that was supposed to be buried with her. Ethan's champagne glass trembled in his hand. His chest constricted as memories crashed over him. Lily's laugh, the way she used to tuck hair behind her ear, the last time he'd seen her alive. This woman moved with the same deliberate grace, the same quiet confidence that had first captured his heart in a university lecture hall. She turned slightly, and their eyes met across the crowded room. Green. Her eyes were the same impossible green. Lily, he whispered, the name escaping before he could stop it. The woman's brow furrowed slightly, her polite smile never wavering. She approached his section, refilling glasses with professional courtesy. When she reached him, he couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Sir, did you need something? Her voice was gentle, touched by years he didn't recognize, yet achingly familiar in its cadence. That necklace. His voice cracked. Where did you get it? She glanced down, fingers brushing the pendant with obvious affection. Oh, this? I've had it as long as I can remember. It's very old. As long as she could remember. The words echoed in his mind like a death knell. Jamie tugged his sleeve. Daddy? Why are you sad? The waitress, her name tag read Anna Reed, gave him a concerned look before moving on, the silver pendant catching the light as she disappeared into the crowd. Ethan stood frozen, his world tilting on its axis. That night, alone in his penthouse, he retrieved the wooden box from his desk drawer. Inside lay the twin pendant, the other half of the set. Two halves of a promise, separated by 15 years, and an impossible mystery. He traced the engraving with trembling fingers. LH and EC, Fine North. I buried you, he whispered to the empty room. How are you alive? Anna Reed's alarm pierced the pre-dawn silence at 5:30 a.m. She rolled out of bed in the modest Brooklyn apartment she shared with her 10-year-old nephew Jamie, already mentally cataloging the day ahead. 2 jobs, school pickup, grocery shopping with a budget that never quite stretched far enough. In the kitchen, she made oatmeal while reviewing her notes for the morning's aquarium program on coral reef restoration. The irony never escaped her. She taught children about healing damaged ecosystems while her own past remained a gaping wound she couldn't remember. Morning, Aunt Anna. Jamie shuffled in, his curly hair a mess, backpack already slung over his small shoulders. Morning, baby. She kissed his forehead, noting how tall he was getting. Soon he'd be taller than her. Soon he'd start asking harder questions about why they lived like this, why she couldn't remember anything before 15 years ago, why she had no family photos except the ones they'd created together. At the aquarium, her mentor Dr. Susan Price pulled her aside. I'm recommending you for lead conservationist. Your work with the children is extraordinary, Anna. You see potential in broken things. Anna touched the necklace absently, a habit when emotions threatened to overwhelm her. Thank you. That means everything. The pendant was her only anchor to a past she couldn't access. She'd been found on a Long Island roadside 15 years ago, unconscious and bleeding, with nothing but the clothes on her back and this necklace. No ID, no family searching, no memories of who she'd been before. The hospital had given her a new name, new papers, a new life built on absence. Sometimes she dreamed of ocean waves and someone calling a name that wasn't hers. Sometimes she woke crying, mourning losses she couldn't identify. But mostly, she survived. She built meaning from fragments, taught children about resilience, raised Jamie with fierce love, and tried not to think about the vast empty space where her identity should be. Meanwhile, across the river in his glass tower, Ethan couldn't sleep. He'd spent the night researching, calling in favors, using every resource his billions could buy. Anna Reed, born, or rather, appeared, in 2010. Before that, nothing. No birth certificate, no school records, no digital footprint. Just a Jane Doe admitted to Long Island General with catastrophic head trauma, left in a coma for months. The same hospital where they'd taken Lily after the accident. The same night, his private investigator laid out the evidence on Ethan's desk. It's like she materialized from nowhere. The Jane Doe case was closed when no one claimed her. She was released to a rehabilitation facility, given a new identity through a state program for unidentified patients. Ethan's hands shook as he pulled up the accident report from 15 years ago, heavily redacted. His father's signature on multiple documents, personally handling funeral arrangements, insisting on immediate cremation, claiming the body was too damaged for viewing. My God, Ethan breathed. He didn't kill her. He erased her. Ethan orchestrated the encounter with surgical precision. He arrived at the aquarium on a Tuesday morning with Jamie, signing them up for Anna's coral reef restoration workshop. He told himself he was being cautious, strategic. In truth, he was desperate to be near her, to confirm what his heart knew but his mind couldn't accept. Anna stood before a group of children, her hands moving gracefully as she explained symbiotic relationships in reef ecosystems. Coral looks dead when it bleaches, she said softly, holding up a photograph. But given the right conditions, clean water, stable temperature, time, it can heal. Life finds a way to rebuild, even from fragments. Ethan watched her, cataloging every gesture. The way she pushed hair behind her ear, the unconscious grace of her movements, the passion in her voice when discussing environmental restoration. This was Lily. Every instinct screamed it, even as impossibility argued otherwise. Jamie, usually withdrawn, approached Anna during the hands-on portion of the program. She knelt to his level, her smile genuine and warm. Would you like to see the touch tank? Jamie nodded shyly, reaching out to touch the pendant that hung at Anna's throat. Anna gently caught his hand. It's very special to me, she said softly. Very old. I don't know where it came from, but I've had it as long as I can remember. Ethan's chest constricted painfully. He'd given it to her on a beach at sunset, the waves crashing behind them, promising that as long as they wore these pendants, they'd always find their way back to each other. Find North. That's what the engraving meant. No matter how lost they became, love would be their compass. After the program, Ethan approached with calculated casualness. That was remarkable. I'm Ethan Cole. I run an environmental development company, and I'm very interested in supporting programs like yours. Anna's eyes widened slightly, recognition of his name, perhaps, or simply surprise that someone of his wealth would personally attend a children's program. That's very generous, Mr. Cole. We rely entirely on donations and grants. They talked for 20 minutes about conservation education, community outreach, the importance of teaching children environmental stewardship. Ethan heard echoes of conversations from 15 years ago, when Lily had challenged his privilege and made him want to be better. As they prepared to leave, Jamie took Anna's hand briefly, an unprecedented gesture that made her eyes shine with surprised pleasure. Ethan saw it then, the same capacity for joy, the same gentle strength. That night, he sat with both pendants, remembering the promise he'd made. So we'll always find each other, no matter how lost we get. I'm finding you, he whispered, but I don't know if you want to be found. Over the following weeks, Ethan became a fixture at the aquarium through his foundation's partnership. He and Anna met regularly to discuss program funding, conversations that started professional but gradually became personal. He watched her carefully, searching for the woman he'd loved while recognizing that this Anna Reed was someone both familiar and entirely new. Anna, meanwhile, began experiencing increasingly vivid episodes. The smell of Ethan's cologne triggered vertigo and a sensation of safety so profound it terrified her. His laugh made her dizzy with déjà vu. At night, she dreamed of storms, crashing metal, someone screaming her name through darkness. Except the name wasn't Anna. "Aunt Anna, why do you cry in your sleep now?" Jamie asked one morning, His young face creased with worry. She had no answer. She was unraveling, and she didn't understand why. Ethan, meanwhile, was building an impossible case. He'd obtained a coffee cup Anna had used and sent it for DNA analysis. The results came back definitive. 99.7% probability of genetic match with Lily Hart's medical records. But the deeper horror emerged when his investigator uncovered financial records showing his father, Robert Cole, had made substantial payments to Coastal Recovery Services, a now-defunct rehabilitation facility, for years after Lily's supposed death. Payments that stopped exactly when Anna Reed's identity paperwork was processed. Ethan tracked down a former nurse from the facility. After significant persuasion and the promise of anonymity, she admitted the truth. There was a patient, she said, voice shaking. Young woman, severe head trauma. Your father paid for everything. He said she was a threat to your future, that the kindest thing was to let her start over with no memories. We kept her sedated, managed her recovery, then released her with a new identity when she was stable enough. He said she had no family, that this was mercy. Ethan felt his world crumble. His father hadn't just opposed his relationship with Lily. He'd orchestrated her erasure, turned her into a ghost, stolen 15 years from both of them. And Ethan had spent that time building an empire on his father's blood money, never questioning, never searching deeply enough. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time. So if you're enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. That evening, he decided to tell Anna everything. But before he could arrange the meeting, she appeared at his office, shaking and pale, holding a photograph that Jamie had found in an old storage box. In the photo, a younger Lily and Ethan stood on a beach, her wearing the necklace, both of them radiating a joy that seemed impossible now. Who am I? Anna whispered, her voice breaking. Why do you have pictures of me from a life I don't remember? Ethan's office had never felt so small. Anna stood before him, trembling with fury and terror, the photograph clutched in her hand like evidence of a crime. He'd rehearsed this conversation 100 times, imagined every possible reaction. None of his preparations mattered now. Your name was Lily Hart. He began, each word careful, waited. 15 years ago, we were engaged. We were planning our future together, a marine research foundation, a life built on purpose rather than profit. You challenged everything about me, made me want to be better than the empire my father built. Anna's breathing grew shallow. That's impossible. I would remember. My father made sure you wouldn't. Ethan's voice cracked. He opened the file on his desk, spreading evidence before her like broken pieces of a life. DNA tests confirming your identity. Financial records showing payments to a rehabilitation facility. Testimony from a nurse who was there when my father had them erase your memories. The color drained from Anna's face as she stared at the documents. Hospital records. Photographs of them together. The matching pendant he'd kept locked away for 15 years. The night of the accident, Ethan continued. You were driving to confront my father. He'd threatened to cut me off financially if I didn't end our engagement. You were furious, said you wouldn't let him control our lives. There was a storm. Your car went off a coastal road. The memories hit Anna like physical blows. Flashes of headlights, screaming metal, water rising. And then, a man's face hovering above her hospital bed. Cold blue eyes. A voice like winter. You were never meant to be part of this family. This is mercy, girl. You'll thank me eventually. She staggered, and Ethan reached for her. She jerked away as if burned. Don't touch me. Her voice was raw. You're his son. Everything you have, your company, your wealth, your entire life, it's all built on erasing me. I didn't know. The words sounded pathetic even to his own ears. I attended your funeral. I saw the closed casket. My father told me there was nothing left to find, and I believed him because it was easier. Anna's laugh was bitter, broken. Easier to believe I was gone than to question. Easier to take his money and build your empire than to search for truth. She was right. God help him, she was right. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Ethan said quietly. I'm offering you the truth. Your real name. Your real history. The life that was stolen from you. Anna stared at the evidence, tears streaming down her face. I'm not her anymore. I don't remember being Lily Hart. I only remember being Anna Reed, a woman who built herself from nothing, who raised Jamie alone, who survived by working 3 jobs and never asking for help. You're telling me that person is a lie. You're telling me the last 15 years of my life were a fiction created by a man who thought he had the right to play God. Anna, that's not even my name. She backed toward the door, her entire body shaking. My name is a lie. My memories are lies. I don't know who I am. She fled before he could respond, leaving the evidence scattered across his desk like the remnants of 2 destroyed lives. 3 days later, Ethan's phone rang. It was Jamie, his young voice thick with fear. Mr. Cole? It's Jamie. Please. Aunt Anna won't stop crying. She won't eat. She just stares at the walls. I don't know what to do. Please help. Ethan grabbed his keys, already moving. I'm coming. Stay with her. I'll be there in 15 minutes. As he drove through the city, he thought about his father's legacy, the empire built on calculated cruelty, the wealth purchased with other people's pain. Robert Cole had believed he was protecting his son's future. Instead, he destroyed it, along with the only woman Ethan had ever truly loved. The question now was whether anything could be rebuilt from such thorough devastation, or if some betrayals carved wounds too deep for healing. Ethan arrived at Anna's apartment to find Jamie huddled on the couch, his small face pale with worry. Anna sat motionless by the window, her eyes fixed on nothing, lost somewhere between 2 lifetimes that refused to reconcile. The woman before him was neither the vibrant Lily he'd loved nor the resilient Anna she'd become. She was fractured, caught in the terrible space where stolen memories collide with constructed identity. He didn't speak. Words felt obscene in the face of such devastation. Instead, he moved quietly through the small apartment, finding what needed doing. There were dishes in the sink, mail piling by the door, Jamie's homework scattered across the kitchen table. Ethan rolled up his sleeves and began washing dishes, the mundane act grounding him when everything else felt impossibly complex. Jamie watched him with suspicious eyes. Are you the reason my aunt won't talk? Ethan paused, his hands still in the soapy water. I'm the reason she knows the truth. Whether that's good or bad, I honestly don't know anymore. Over the next 3 days, Ethan became a fixture in their lives. He arrived early to make breakfast before Jamie's school, packed lunches with the careful attention of someone learning a new language, and sat with Jamie through homework he barely remembered from his own childhood. He asked nothing of Anna, simply ensured the household continued functioning while she navigated the wreckage of her identity. On the 4th morning, Anna finally spoke. Tell me about her. About Lily. Ethan set down the coffee he'd been making. What do you want to know? Everything. Who she was before your father destroyed her. They sat across from each other at the small kitchen table, and Ethan shared memories he'd locked away for 15 years. Lily had been a marine biology graduate student, fierce in her conviction that environmental work meant nothing if it didn't serve vulnerable communities. She'd challenged every assumption he made about wealth and responsibility, refusing to let him hide behind charitable donations when systemic change required sacrifice. You wanted to build a foundation together, Ethan said quietly. Not the kind that writes checks from a distance, but something that put boots on the ground in damaged ecosystems. You said coral reefs and human communities failed the same way when the people with power stopped paying attention. Anna's eyes filled with tears. I can see glimpses of her. That passion. But I'm not her anymore, Ethan. She wanted to save ecosystems. I've spent 15 years just trying to save myself. Maybe you've been doing both, Ethan replied. Your work at the aquarium, teaching kids about conservation. That's who you are, regardless of which name you carry. The conversation was interrupted by his phone ringing. His assistant Ryan apologized for the intrusion, but there was an urgent situation with Sophia. She'd been staying with her usual caregiver, but she was refusing to eat, barely sleeping, and becoming increasingly distressed by Ethan's absence. Bring her here, Anna said suddenly. She needs you, and I think. She paused, touching the necklace at her throat. I think maybe I need her too. When Sophia arrived an hour later, she was pale and withdrawn, clutching her drawing pad like a lifeline. But the moment she saw Anna, something shifted. She walked directly to her, and in a voice barely above a whisper, spoke words she hadn't managed in months. You're safe. You understand. Anna knelt to Sophia's level, recognition flooding through her. This child knew what it meant to have your reality erased, to carry memories no one believed. Yes, sweetheart. I understand. Over the following days, Sophia began drawing constantly in Anna's apartment. At first, the images seemed like typical childhood art. houses, people, abstract shapes. But Anna, trained to recognize patterns in complex systems, noticed something disturbing. The drawings repeated specific symbols: barred windows, children in identical rows, adult hands reaching down toward small figures. In one particularly detailed sketch, Sophia had drawn a building with a distinctive logo on its side. Anna studied the images late one night while Sophia slept on her couch. Her scientific instincts, honed through years of analyzing ecosystem data, screamed that these weren't random childhood fears. They were memories, encoded in the only language Sophia felt safe using. "James," she said the next morning, using his first name for the first time. "Tell me about Sophia's adoption." "Everything." Ethan explained the process, how he'd worked with a nonprofit called Haven of Hope, run by a woman named Patricia Voss. The organization specialized in rescuing trafficked children from international situations. Sophia had come through their program 2 years ago, the paperwork processed quickly due to her urgent medical and psychological needs. Anna listened carefully, then spread Sophia's drawings across the table. "These images aren't nightmares, Ethan. They're documentation. Has anyone actually investigated where she came from? Not the official story, the actual truth." Ethan stared at the drawings, seeing them through Anna's trained eyes. The patterns were too consistent, too detailed. His daughter was trying to tell them something that her words couldn't yet express. "What are you suggesting?" Anna met his gaze steadily. "I'm suggesting that you may have been lied to. That the organization you trusted might be exactly what it claims to fight against. And that Sophia is trying to tell us what really happened to her." Anna couldn't silence her instincts. While Ethan attended to business matters he'd been neglecting, she began researching Haven of Hope with the same methodical approach she'd used for analyzing marine ecosystem data. On the surface, everything looked impeccable: glowing testimonials, celebrity endorsements, an impressive board of directors. Ethan's foundation was listed as a major donor, having contributed over $2 million across 5 years. But Anna had learned to look beneath surface presentations. In coral reef research, the most damaged systems often appeared healthy until you examined the underlying structure. She began documenting inconsistencies. The adoption timelines didn't align with stated procedures. Haven of Hope claimed each international adoption required months of vetting and legal processing, yet several families showed adoption completion in impossible timeframes. She created a spreadsheet tracking every success story featured on the organization's website and social media. Several rescued children appeared in multiple photos spanning years, as if the same stock images were being recycled with different names and stories. Most disturbing, when Anna searched for follow-up information on adoptive families beyond the initial announcements, many had no digital footprint. No family photos, no social media presence, no trace of these children growing up in their new homes. It was as if they'd been adopted and then vanished. She presented her findings to Ethan one evening after Jamie and Sophia were asleep. He was immediately defensive. "I vetted this organization personally. They have certifications, international partnerships, oversight from multiple agencies. Patricia Voss has awards from humanitarian organizations. Your father had credentials too," Anna said quietly. "Respectability isn't the same as integrity, and powerful people can make paperwork say anything they want." The words hit Ethan like a physical blow. She was right. His entire life was proof of that truth. Together, they dug deeper. Financial records showed Patricia Voss traveled internationally every 6 to 8 weeks, ostensibly visiting the facilities where children were housed before adoption. But when Anna mapped those travel dates against news reports of missing children in those regions, disturbing correlations emerged. Voss's rescue facility visits corresponded with spikes in child disappearances. "This can't be right," Ethan said, his voice hollow. "I was trying to do something good, to be different than my father." "I know," Anna replied. "But the road to hell is paved with good intentions and unchecked privilege. You donated millions and never asked where the children actually came from." Sophia continued drawing, and Anna documented every image. A recurring symbol caught her attention: a stylized logo that appeared on buildings, vehicles, and uniforms in Sophia's sketches. Anna photographed one of the clearer drawings and ran it through reverse image search. The results made her blood run cold. The logo belonged to International Hope Services, an adoption facilitation company that had been shut down in 2018 following a federal investigation into suspected child trafficking. The organization had re-emerged under various names in different countries, each time with slightly altered branding but the same core symbol. Ethan, Anna said, her voice shaking. Sophia isn't drawing nightmares. She's drawing the place she came from. And that place wasn't a rescue facility. It was a trafficking operation. Ethan pulled Sophia's adoption paperwork from his safe. Reading it with new eyes, the gaps became glaring. No clear country of origin, just international rescue situation. No biological family information beyond deceased/unknown. The processing had been completed in 6 weeks, a fraction of the time legitimate international adoptions required. The devastating truth crystallized. His daughter had been trafficked, and he'd unknowingly paid her traffickers, legitimizing their operation with his wealth and reputation. We have to report this, Anna said. But we need someone who will take it seriously, not someone Patricia Voss can influence. Ethan made a call to Detective Marcus Webb, a specialist in human trafficking cases he'd met through previous foundation work. Marcus was known for his integrity and his skepticism of wealthy philanthropists who claimed good intentions while enabling exploitation. They met at Marcus's office 3 days later. The detective was a compact man in his 50s, with sharp eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. He listened as Anna presented her research, her scientific methodology lending credibility to findings that might otherwise seem like conspiracy theory. Mrs. Reed, Marcus said when she finished, this is thorough work, but you need to understand what you're suggesting. Patricia Voss has connections to city officials, federal immigration authorities, and nonprofit oversight boards. Taking her down means going up against powerful people who've staked their reputations on her legitimacy. I understand, Anna replied. But that child upstairs is drawing evidence of trafficking, and I won't ignore it because the truth is inconvenient for powerful people. I've already had my life stolen by someone who thought he knew what was best for me. I won't be complicit in the same thing happening to other children. Marcus studied her for a long moment, then nodded. All right, I'll start an official investigation. But this stays quiet until we have irrefutable evidence. If Voss gets wind of this before we're ready, she'll disappear along with any proof. The investigation demanded careful coordination. Detective Marcus worked through official channels, quietly subpoenaing Haven of Hope's financial records and international facility documentation. Ethan used his business connections to access property records and travel logs. Anna, with her research skills and Sophia's trust, focused on interviewing other adoptive families to identify patterns of trauma. The work was delicate and dangerous. Patricia Voss's board of directors included politicians, judges, and business leaders with the power to shut down investigations before they began. Marcus insisted on absolute secrecy until they had evidence that could withstand legal challenges. Anna contacted 5 families whose children had been adopted through Haven of Hope. 3 agreed to speak with her, and their stories were heartbreaking. Each child showed signs of severe trauma, nightmares, fear of specific symbols, regression in development. One mother, Sarah Mitchell, broke down during their phone conversation. My daughter draws the same things your daughter does, Sarah whispered. Bars on windows. Rows of children. She wakes up screaming about the bad place. But when I tried to ask Haven of Hope about her background, they said knowing too much about her past would interfere with healing. They made me sign agreements limiting my questions. Anna documented everything, building a database of testimony that revealed a pattern of institutional gaslighting. Parents who asked questions were told they were traumatizing their children by digging into painful pasts. Children who showed signs of remembering were referred to therapists connected to Haven of Hope, therapists who discouraged recovered memory work. But their careful investigation hit an unexpected obstacle. Anna's brother David discovered her renewed connection with Ethan through social media. Jamie had mentioned Mr. James to school friends, and the information had spread. David, a real estate developer whose projects sometimes competed with Ethan's environmental development company, felt the bitter sting of comparison. For years, David had been dismissed as too commercial by their family, while Anna was praised for her nonprofit work. Now she was socializing with billionaires while his latest project teetered on the edge of financial collapse. His resentment, combined with desperation, led him to make a devastating choice. David knew Patricia Voss through business networks. She'd helped facilitate international partnerships for several of his developments. He contacted her, ostensibly for project discussions, but actually to probe what she knew about Ethan's activities. When he learned about the investigation, he made a calculation, warning Voss could earn her gratitude and potentially her help with his failing project. "I thought you should know," David told Patricia over drinks at an exclusive club. "My sister has been spending a lot of time with Ethan Cole, and apparently they're asking questions about your organization. Something about adoption records and children's drawings." Patricia's expression remained pleasant, but her eyes went cold. "Your sister sounds like someone who cares deeply about children. I appreciate you letting me know there's concern. I'll reach out to address any misunderstandings." What David didn't realize was that he'd just activated a well-oiled machine designed to protect a multi-million-dollar operation. Within 48 hours, local news ran a story. Troubled woman with amnesia harasses respected nonprofit director with conspiracy theories. The article painted Anna as mentally unstable, weaponizing her memory loss as evidence of unreliability. Her poverty was framed as resentment toward successful people. Her connection to Ethan was portrayed as an opportunistic attempt to access wealth. Anonymous sources, later traced to accounts controlled by Haven of Hope's public relations firm, flooded social media with suggestions that Anna was a con artist who'd invented her amnesia story to manipulate a grieving billionaire. Ethan faced immediate pressure from his board of directors to distance himself from the scandal. His company's reputation, they argued, couldn't be associated with baseless attacks on a respected humanitarian organization. The most painful call came from Vanessa, his ex-fiancée. She'd heard about the situation through their overlapping social circles. "Ethan, I know we ended badly, but I'm calling because I'm concerned. This woman, Anna, Lily, whoever she is, she's clearly unstable. You can't let her destroy everything you've built." "She's not unstable," Ethan said quietly. "She's the woman my father tried to erase, and I'm not going to abandon her again." "Then you're choosing someone who doesn't even know who she is over your company, your reputation, everything you've worked for?" "I'm choosing what's right. Something I should have done 15 years ago." Vanessa hung up, but her call was followed by others, investors, board members, society connections, all urging him to be reasonable and protect his interests. Anna, watching the news coverage in her apartment, felt the familiar weight of powerlessness. Once again, wealthy people were controlling the narrative of her life. But when she looked at Sophia, sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks, she knew backing down wasn't an option. "They're going to destroy me," she told Ethan that evening. "Everything I've built, my reputation, my job, it's all going to disappear because I dared to question powerful people." "Then we make sure the truth comes out before they finish," Ethan replied. "Marcus is almost ready to move. We just need a few more days." But Dr. Shaw, Anna's supervisor at the aquarium, called the next morning. "Anna, I'm so sorry. The board met last night. With all the media attention, they feel it's best if you take a leave of absence until this situation resolves." "It's paid leave," she added quickly. "But they're worried about the aquarium's reputation." Anna understood what wasn't being said. The board members included donors who sat on other boards with Haven of Hope supporters. The networks of wealth and power protected their own. Detective Marcus moved faster than planned after learning about the media attack on Anna. He'd seen this pattern before. Powerful people using reputation destruction to discredit whistleblowers before evidence could surface. If they waited much longer, any testimony Anna provided would be dismissed as revenge fantasy from a discredited source. He executed search warrants on 3 of Haven of Hope's domestic offices simultaneously, coordinating with federal investigators who'd been building their own case against international adoption fraud. The raids yielded devastating evidence: falsified adoption documents, communications with known trafficking networks, and financial records showing children being bought and sold under the guise of rescue fees. Patricia Voss was arrested at her home at dawn, surrounded by the luxury her operation had funded. News cameras captured her being led away in handcuffs, her perfectly composed facade finally cracking. But the victory came at tremendous cost. Anna's name appeared in every news report as the whistleblower who sparked the investigation. While some outlets praised her courage, others doubled down on character assassination. Op-eds questioned whether a woman with amnesia could be trusted as a reliable witness. Social media erupted with conspiracy theories about her motivations. Jamie faced harassment at school. Other children repeated things their parents had said about his aunt being crazy or a gold digger. He came home with a black eye after defending Anna's honor, and she held him while he cried, apologizing for dragging him into her mess. "You didn't do anything wrong, Aunt Maya," Jamie said, using the name he'd always known her by. "You helped kids who couldn't help themselves. That's what you taught me to do." The aquarium's board, facing their own scrutiny for employing someone at the center of such a scandal, asked Anna to resign rather than return from leave. Dr. Shaw delivered the news with tears in her eyes, but the decision was final. Ethan's company faced backlash too. Shareholders questioned his judgment in funding Haven of Hope. Several board members resigned, unwilling to be associated with the scandal. His carefully built reputation as a thoughtful philanthropist was replaced with whispers that he'd been duped by a con artist. Vanessa gave interviews positioning herself as the woman who'd narrowly escaped Ethan's poor judgment, using the situation to elevate her own profile as a discerning businesswoman. But the worst moment came when David appeared at Anna's apartment, his face haggard with guilt. "I'm the one who told Patricia," he admitted. "I was angry, jealous, and desperate. I thought I was just warning her about questions you were asking. I didn't know it would turn into this." Anna stared at her brother, feeling a grief deeper than anger. "You sold me out. Again. First, you never looked for me after the accident. You were dead. The funeral was a lie orchestrated by someone with enough money to make truth irrelevant. And you never questioned it because I was never your priority." Anna's voice broke. "Get out, David. I've lost everything trying to protect children, and you can't even admit you prioritized a business deal over doing what's right." David left, but his betrayal cut deeper than the media attacks. Family, the one thing Anna thought she could rely on, had proven as fragile as everything else. That night, Anna stood in her apartment surrounded by boxes. She couldn't afford the rent without her aquarium salary. Jamie needed stability, and she couldn't provide it. The necklace hung at her throat, a reminder of 2 lifetimes of loss. Ethan found her there, staring at the walls. "Come stay at my house," he said. "You and Jamie. Not because of obligation or guilt, but because you shouldn't have to face this alone." "I don't want your charity," Anna said quietly. "It's not charity. It's partnership. We're both paying the price for exposing the truth. Let's at least pay it together." Anna looked at Jamie, asleep on the couch, and made a decision. "Okay, but not as the woman you used to know. I need you to understand. I'm not Lily trying to remember. I'm Anna trying to figure out who I am now." "I know," Ethan said. "And I'm not asking you to be anyone but who you are." 6 months after Patricia Voss's arrest, the full scope of her operation became public. Federal prosecutors revealed that Haven of Hope had trafficked over 200 children across 15 years, generating millions in adoption fees and international donations. Several board members faced charges for complicity. The nonprofit's collapse sent shockwaves through philanthropic circles, forcing wealthy donors to confront how easily their good intentions had been exploited. Ethan testified at multiple hearings, accepting responsibility for failing to conduct adequate oversight of his foundation's partnerships. His honesty earned respect from some quarters and contempt from others. Several investors pulled out of his company, and he stepped back from day-to-day operations to focus on victim advocacy work. Anna became an unexpected voice in trafficking prevention, her scientific background lending credibility to testimony about recognizing institutional patterns of abuse. She worked with Marcus and other advocates to develop better vetting procedures for international adoptions, focusing on protecting children rather than serving adoptive parents' desires. Jamie and Sophia grew close, their shared experience of watching adults fight for justice creating a bond stronger than traditional siblinghood. Sophia's language slowly returned as she felt safer, and with Anna's patient support, she began trauma therapy that actually addressed her experiences rather than suppressing them. But the question of Anna and Ethan's relationship remained complicated. They lived together in his home, co-parenting their unusual family, working together on the foundation Lily had once envisioned, one that served damaged communities rather than imposing solutions from above. They were partners in every practical sense, yet the romantic connection remained undefined. One evening, Anna found Ethan in his study, holding both necklaces, the one she wore and its twin he'd kept for 15 years. I need to tell you something, she said. I've been remembering more. Not everything, but pieces. I remember loving you. I remember planning a future together. But I also remember who I was. Naive, idealistic, so certain I could change you through love. Ethan set down the necklaces. And now I know that change doesn't happen through love. It happens through choice. You chose to investigate Haven of Hope even when it cost you. You chose to support me when everyone told you I was using you. Those choices matter more than anything we felt 15 years ago. So where does that leave us? Ethan asked. Anna touched the necklace at her throat. You engraved Find North on this. The compass rose is still there. But I think we spent 15 years looking backward, trying to return to where we started. Maybe the point isn't to find our way back. Maybe it's to find a new direction entirely. Together? Ethan's voice held hope and fear in equal measure. Together. But not as Ethan and Lily trying to resurrect a relationship that was built on who we used to be. As Ethan and Anna building something new from who we've become. People who've been broken and reconstructed, who understand that love isn't about perfection, it's about choosing each other through the mess. Ethan stood, closing the distance between them. I choose you. Not because of who you were, but because of who you are. The woman who turned her suffering into advocacy. Who sees patterns where others see chaos. Who fights for other people's children with the same fierce love she shows Jamie. Anna reached up, touching his face with a tenderness that felt both familiar and brand new. I choose you too. The man who had the courage to betray his father's legacy. Who co-parents two traumatized children with patience I didn't know wealthy men possessed. Who's learning that redemption isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up every day and doing the work. Their kiss was gentle, exploratory, two people learning each other for the first time despite having loved before. It wasn't the passionate romance of their youth, but something deeper, a connection forged through shared trauma, mutual respect, and the conscious choice to build rather than resurrect. In the months that followed, they formalized their unusual family. Ethan adopted Jamie, giving him the stability he'd never had. Anna pursued graduate work in nonprofit management, channeling her experience into systemic change. Together, they restructured Ethan's foundation, focusing on community-led solutions rather than imposed interventions. The media eventually moved on to other scandals. Some people never forgave Ethan for his association with Haven of Hope, viewing his advocacy work as insufficient penance. Others never believed Anna's story, convinced she'd manipulated a grieving billionaire. But their opinions mattered less than the work itself. On the anniversary of that charity gala where Ethan first saw the impossible necklace, they returned to the venue, this time as presenters at a trafficking prevention conference. Anna spoke about recognizing institutional patterns of abuse. Ethan discussed the responsibility of wealth to question rather than assume. Afterward, standing in the same ballroom where their lives had collided again, Anna turned to Ethan. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if your father hadn't orchestrated all of this? If we'd just gotten married, built our foundation, lived the life we planned? Ethan considered the question seriously. Sometimes. But I think we would have been happy without being tested. We'd have loved each other without understanding what that love could survive. This version, where we found each other again after everything tried to keep us apart, this version is truer. Even though it cost us 15 years. Even though, because those years made us who we are. You learned to survive without me. I learned that privilege doesn't exempt you from consequences. And now we're building something neither of us could have imagined when we were young and certain the world would bend to our good intentions. Anna leaned into him, feeling the solid warmth of his presence, not a ghost from her past, but a partner in her present. The necklace lay against her heart, no longer a mystery, but a symbol of how love could be rebuilt from fragments, stronger for having been broken. Find North, she murmured, reading the engraving by memory. We did, Ethan replied. We found it together. Behind them, Jamie and Sophia played with other children at the conference, their laughter a testament to resilience and the possibility of healing. The past would always be part of their story, but it no longer defined their future. They had found their way not back, but forward, to a place where memory and identity, loss and love, could coexist in beautiful, complicated truth. Up next, we have two more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch, and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.